Coming to you from Freedom Land Studios in Texas. This is the Chuck and Z Show. And now, here's Chuck and Z.
What up, everybody? Welcome to the Chuck and Z Show. Of course, I'm Chuck.
I'm Z.
And on today's show, we have Mr. Scott Payne.
He is the author of the book, Codename Pale Horse, How I Went Undercover to Expose America's Nazis.
It's a great book. He's a writer. He went undercover with the Outlaws. We talk about that. We talk about a lot of stuff on this show. It was a great conversation, and we truly appreciate Mr. Payne for coming on the show. And go get his book. It's really good.
Yes.
With that, on to the show.
All right.
And every road was immaculately maintained and twisty as hell. So you get back out there and you just get on the bike and you know, people eventually get to know you and they just wave at you as you go by, even though you're flying down their little side road. But I miss that. Every road in Georgia is almost good outside of Atlanta.
Yeah. North Georgia.
North Georgia. Yeah. But you know, when you get south of Atlanta and you get down there around where the Whistle Stop Cafe is, Jasper, all that, it's pretty nice down there too.
It is. I was thinking more like closer to Florida. It starts to get a little bit more flat. You don't have the twisty roads, but
yeah. Well, Scott, we're just jumping in, man. If it's okay with you,
shoot.
Well, first of all, thank you for joining the podcast. Obviously, I've heard a couple of podcasts that you were on, and I was super excited to get an opportunity to talk to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And we were able to listen to your book, and it was very, very, like, I loved just listening to the stories and like hearing about, you know, everything that you experienced as an FBI agent and going undercover. So, yeah, it was really cool.
The audiobook, I've listened to a little bit of it. It's like I'm a musician and a singer, so in the studio I'm pretty tight anyway. But it's just I wanted it to come across as a conversation, like I do when I teach and I speak everywhere. But it's so hard because you had to read verbatim because that is what the FBI had approved. That is what all the Simon and Schuster legal team had went through. So, like I had to read at a certain speed and kind of talk behind it. And, you know, sometimes when you're reading the sentence that's, I don't know, like it's a long sentence, just like singing a song, you got to find when to break and when to breathe. But we knocked it out in 4 days in the studio, and the last 2 days were less than half days. So not a bad run once we got our groove on.
Yeah.
Well, one of the cool things for me, I'm glad you read the book because I feel like we've got a friend of ours that's a voiceover artist and she reads a lot of books and she does a great job, but I always kind of prefer it when the person who wrote it reads it. And mostly because you were there and as you're telling the story, you remember the inflections, what was going on, how you felt, so you can give it the right emphasis where it needs to
On
be.
the syllable.
On the syllable, absolutely.
Yeah. But I just so I was going to tell you, I really enjoyed hearing these stories. Obviously, it's something that I'm fascinated with to begin with, but also it was kind of personal to me because a lot of the locations that you talk about, I was there. That's where I grew up. And while some of that stuff was going on, I was in those locations, whether you're talking about, growing up in South Carolina. I lived in Greenville for like 7 years. Rome, Georgia. We love Rome, Georgia. We would ride down there all the time. As a matter of fact, we would ride our bikes up to the top of Myrtle Hill Cemetery and take pictures and do video and drone shots and stuff. And so, and then one of my territories is San Antonio. So as you're talking about these experiences that you have, I was able to really connect with them because I knew the areas that you were talking about, the streets even, I kind of could see what was going on. So it was really cool.
Right. Yeah, that's that's good. And again, I've heard my voice, if I had a squeaky voice or something, I probably wouldn't have read the book, but yeah, I don't know. I got a deep, raspy, redneck country thing going on. So who knows?
It fits the story.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they called me country,
Well,
right.
You're for sure a South Carolina boy. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
I didn't realize go ahead.
I was going to say, when I got to New York as my first FBI assignment, every week or 2 weeks, I would call home and talk to my buddies just so I didn't lose my accent because I was proud of it, because I mirror. If I like it when I'm 2 years in Boston, I start hanging around with Bostonians and
Right.
Massachusetts. I start sounding like them. I can't help it. That's just me.
Mm-hmm.
The
Next thing you
car.
know, I'm not pronouncing my, I'm not pronouncing my consonants. And
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
everything's a vowel.
Uh-huh. So how was it? Like, was it a huge culture shock when you had you been to New York previously?
No,
Okay.
so when I found out in the FBI, when you go through the new agents training, new agents training,
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what week it is. It's not right at the beginning, but maybe a month or 2 months in,
Mm-hmm.
you have 56 field officers, and you have to fill out the list from 1 to 56, and it really, you sweat over it, you lose
Yeah.
sleep over it, and it's like after years in the bureau, I was like, man, if they would just let me pick my top 10, because if you're not going to give me what my top 10, it doesn't matter. Just send me wherever you're sending me. Why
Right.
torture me and make me list, 46 other offices? But once I found out I was getting New York City, I did take a trip with a buddy of mine who actually ended up being the case agent on the Outlaws case
Okay.
because he went to Boston. But he was familiar with New York, and we took a long weekend trip, went up there, and he showed me all the places, and I kind of settled in on where I wanted to go. But that was my first. But I'm not. I don't want to say I'm not easily shocked, but I'm just.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me. I mean, I got to New York City, and it's not like I was like, oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, the buildings were tall, but it was the. I mean, I ended up on the Colombian drug squad. We're doing arrest on kind of the same people we were arresting in Greenville, South Carolina. Some of them
Yeah.
came from New York, so
Yeah.
and I try not to walk around looking like a target, like with a map going, look at all this.
Right. Right. You're not a
Uh,
tourist there. You're
yeah.
there to kind of infiltrate and like get in and pretend like you're a part of or
The
be a
culture.
part of the
Yeah.
culture.
Oh, but in New York City, you can walk down the street with cowboy boots and underwear on, and nobody
That's
even
true.
looks at you. It's just
Yeah.
like
Yeah. I
it's
think a
just
guy
you're
does
just
that.
another dude. Yeah, it is. It's the
The
whatever the
naked
naked
cowboy.
cowboy. Yeah, passed that dude many times in Times Square.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, this obviously is a motorcycle themed podcast, and you mentioned the Outlaws earlier. So obviously you ride. One of the first questions that we always ask our guests whenever they're on the show, because everybody who comes on the show rides, is what do you ride?
I currently ride a 2013 Road Glide Custom, all
Nice.
blacked out, a lot of Ardennes stuff on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a patient, picky shopper, and I didn't have the money to buy anything brand new, so I waited and I found the bike, and I'm like, that's it. I had
Yeah.
to change a few things on it, but yeah, I mean that's what I ride right now. Now then, of course, after I'm completely satisfied, I'm up helping Red Bull Racing film a documentary thing they were doing. Actually, won an Emmy on the Dragon.
Oh
Talking about
yeah.
motorcycle riding, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's Scott Speed versus the Tail of the Dragon. So we're up
Nice.
there filming, and I was the law enforcement liaison, and we blocked traffic so you can film. And this motorcycle comes around the bend, and man, it looked like a freaking UFO, man, all the lights and everything. And I was like, is that a street glide? So I
Yeah.
walked up to the guy and I'm like, what year? He goes, it's brand new. I just got it. And then I walk around and I see that big touch screen and I'm like, now
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
I
Now I got
know.
envy. I'm like, now I want that,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
gummit, So we'll see.
Yeah. They're pretty
We'll see.
nice. Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah.
They're nice for sure.
Yeah.
When did you start riding?
I grew up on motorcycles, mostly three wheelers, all through, golly, man, maybe like seventh grade, eighth grade. I know I had all my high school friends remember being on the back of my three wheeler at some point or another doing some nefarious activity, committing crimes that I never got arrested and charged with. If I had been and gotten convicted, I would have never been able to be a cop or an FBI agent. But yeah. Yeah, we rode. I rode a lot of those, and then dirt bikes. And somewhere, I think it was after I was an agent. I was a brand new agent in New York City, and my buddy called me. Actually, my dad called me. He had a bike, and my buddy went and looked at it. And he's a huge Harley rider and brilliant dude named Dave, great buddy of mine. He went and he said, "Dude, this is a good bike." And sight unseen, I sent a check. So. I flew down to Myrtle Beach for Myrtle Beach Bike Week, and I got a crash course learning from my buddy in a empty movie parking lot, and then we were out at Bike Week riding around. So
Fun.
Yeah. She hasn't been to Bike Week in Myrtle yet.
No, not in Myrtle.
I don't even know what it's like anymore. It used to be the bomb.
True.
I mean, it used to be great because compared to Austin, I love Austin, but we would go up to the Rot Rally in Austin, and after about the second year we went, even the first year, they don't block things off. Austin's very busy. It seemed like every turn we went around, there was another bike laid down because a car had hit it. And then they stopped letting you park your motorcycles on 6th Street. Whereas in Myrtle Beach, I mean, everybody comes out on their front lawn and waves and watches, and cops stop traffic. And I mean, it's Bike Week. There's a spring and fall.
Yeah.
And you can get some good riding in. I mean, you can hop on your motorcycle from North Myrtle Beach, ride down to Myrtle's Inlet, go to the Suck Bang Blow.
Suck Bang Blow.
There you go. Boom. I ate some gears up there. I don't know why my transmission shot.
That's a famous spot in Myrtle Beach for Bike Week.
Yeah. No, I remember that. I mean, I see the advertisements for that.
Yeah.
For that spot.
Well, it's a biker burnout bar. So in the bar, you're sitting there drinking, and somebody rolls their Harley and they start doing burnouts. And I think if you win the burnout contest, you get like $100, but you've already ruined your tire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My buddies had a motorcycle shop. I think was it B&M? It's something, but it was right there near North Myrtle Beach, and they all Bike Week long. You see people in there getting new because they've eaten their gears up.
Yeah.
They've blown their tires out. I bet you're drinking, and you got $100 in bragging rights, I guess.
Yeah.
But you can just stay on 17, go all the way down to Charleston, spend the night, get some nice seafood, come back up. It's beautiful.
Oh yeah,
nice.
North Myrtle up around Barefoot Landing. We stayed there one time and ride that all the way down. I used to love going down to Paulie's. Man, I'm getting like homesick.
You get nostalgic.
I know, dude. I know. Right? As soon as you cross the plane and smell that salty air from the salt water, I just start craving seafood like crazy, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, crab legs and shrimp. Can I OD on them? We're about to find out.
It's funny you mentioned three-wheelers in South Carolina. I think that was a rite of passage for all of us. I think we all had three-wheelers at one point in time.
Yeah.
I know that
The big red 110. Yeah, man.
Yes, sir. They were dangerous as hell, but we loved them. We had this old dirt bike that we cobbled together, which was really kind of my very first dirt bike, but we didn't have tires for it, so we bent the forks out and put some three-wheeler, four-wheeler tires on it.
Oh, nice.
Dude, it was not. Like, I mean, 5 miles an hour.
I'm picturing you're prophetic because I'm picturing that exile bike look in the chopper phase when, it was just clean with big tires and no wires. And that's what I'm picturing. Yeah,
no, you're not far off. The only thing is they were the bouncy type. So like you're trying to go fast and it's just on a two-wheel. Yeah. It was not good. We did a lot of stupid stuff back in South Carolina for sure.
It must be a rite, like you said, rite of passage. My second three-wheeler was a Yamaha. I can't remember how big it was. I don't know, a 227. I don't know, but it was yellow. And what I did is because we moved to residential areas, I changed out the back big knobby tires for on and off-road lower profile tires. And I remember getting clocked. I was on the sidewalk because you could ride on the sidewalk, and I got stopped. I think it was Greenville County who I ended up getting a job with when I was an adult. But I got stopped by uniform patrol in front of my high school on the sidewalk, and he said, son, how he worded it. He said, "Do you know how fast you were going?" Oh, he goes, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" And I said, "No, sir. I thought." No license plate, no blinkers, nothing like that. It's not street legal, but it was okay to ride on the sidewalk. He said, "Not at 65 miles an hour, it's not." And I was like, I was doing 65? I was like, wow.
Man.
I didn't have a speedometer.
You didn't have, you couldn't tell how fast
it's a dirt bike. Yeah, I'm just hauling tail.
Yeah.
There's plus and minuses of growing up in rural country, South Carolina or wherever. Some of them are that you pretty much can ride your four-wheeler anywhere. You're not going to get pulled over. I mean, I grew up right outside of Columbia in an area called Swansea Gaston. And we would just go down the dirt roads, main roads. Sheriff would pass by. He didn't care, which was, it's good. I like that.
It's all good. I mean, even in East Tennessee now, it's not three wheelers, but it's side by sides. You get to the
Yeah.
rural areas, there's these huge concert venues and riding. There's the Wind Rock, and then there's Brimstone, and I think they even connect now. We're talking hundreds and hundreds of thousands of acres of land,
Mm-hmm.
and you can get lost on it. But everybody, like, if you go to a concert, nobody their side by sides are more expensive than the cars they drive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They should
100%.
on a side by side, and it's pretty wild. It's cool. It's a cool time, though.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
soup them up. They probably have sound systems and stuff in them.
You better believe it.
Do you do any like motorcycle events now? Have you been to anything recently?
I haven't been to anything in a minute, personally. Let me think. No, because I always, even when I was without a motorcycle, I filled my need with being blessed to be an undercover in the FBI, and I would just go do another case and get a bike from the FBI. So
Yeah.
it might be a 96 Fat Boy for one case, and then it's a 2000 Road King for the next case, and then I would kind of mess around with those bikes to make them more suitable for my stature,
Yeah.
and make it look different than what it used to be because it's probably been used before. And
Yeah.
that was actually a little research and development for me for my own bike. I'm like, oh, I like that. I'm going to do that to my personal bike.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So out of curiosity, I want to go back, a little bit because I do want to talk about your book because I thought it was phenomenal, and obviously
thank you.
I really enjoyed it, and the connection I had with it was more so too specifically in the outlaw section as well, because we growing up. Well, not growing up, but riding motorcycles where we rode motorcycles with Z, founding one of the local chapters of the Litas, which is a female motorcycle collective.
Okay.
We were around the outlaws a lot, and knowing a lot of those guys, and when I say we were around them,
When you were in Georgia?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
not in South Carolina, I pretty much managed to keep. I have nothing against MCs. It's just not my thing. So I've done a really good job of kind of, hey, I know you, whatever, but I don't get involved type thing.
Yeah.
But whenever we went to Georgia, it was almost unavoidable because she was doing her riding collective, and so they were always around. But it was fascinating listening to you talk about the guys that were literally planning these jobs and doing, because when I talk to the guys that I knew over there, I just can't see them doing that. And so it's very interesting to me to hear that other side of it that obviously I wouldn't be privy to. You would, but yeah,
Well,
I just,
that's kind of the back and forth, right? You say, oh, we're just a good bunch of people that just like to ride, and we do, Toys for Tots runs and stuff like that, and they do. And every chapter is different, and every bike club's different. But when you say you're a one percenter, that's kind of, I'm not saying all one percenters are criminals, but it's kind of why you're a one percenter. I mean,
yeah,
that's where it came from.
yeah,
99% of all motorcycle riders are law-abiding citizens. It's only the 1%. That's where that phrase came, and then they took it as a badge of honor.
yeah.
I'm not saying I disagree with it. I'm not saying I think they're bad people. I'm just, if you're breaking the law and we get evidence of it, then you're an adult and now you're caught, and let's just deal with it now. But
Yeah, it was very interesting when I did start the Litas Atlanta chapter, and just being ingratiated in the motorcycle culture. Like, I had no idea what a motorcycle club was about, right? I mean, I've heard stories, I've seen videos and like documentaries on them, but them being like right in your backyard or you in their backyard, and then them having to come and kind of vet you out to make sure that you're not starting a club in their territory was really interesting. So
did they have like a confederation of clubs in Georgia? Like,
I think so. Yeah.
it may be called something different. I asked because
Okay.
in Tennessee, there's a confederation of clubs.
Okay.
Tennessee's an outlaw state, used to be. I mean, now they've got people moving in, and I mean, whatever. But other gangs that are rivals moving in. But the COC, if you were a riding club or an MC, you had to register with them and you pay dues. There was a lot of rift between a lot of the members after a while because the outlaws were running they were running the Confederation of Clubs, and they were taking the dues. I mean, they were taking the money and using it for their own benefit, not any other club.
Yeah.
But you had to register if you were a riding club, as long as you weren't law enforcement.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the way it was in Georgia. Outside of the Leos, if you were going to have an MC, you had to get permission or be approved by the Outlaws. I mean, I think there's several out there, but it's kind of funny that you mentioned that because I inadvertently ran into them, real quick, I'll tell the story. I was talking to a friend of mine. We were at a bar, and we didn't know that it was a claimed bar. It was us, a couple of the female riders, and this guy that I guess he was part of a club that I didn't really know any of that. But we're sitting around the table, and I was talking about I'd love to start like a little, I don't know, like a bar, like Moto Taco or something that caters to bikers, and bikers can come hang out, make it feel like a club, things, whatever. And that's where I messed up, is because I said, make it feel like a club, even though I didn't mean club like as in an MC. I meant like as in a place you go or whatever.
I got you.
But that guy, he went back and told the Outlaws that I was trying to start a motorcycle club without permission. And I'm like, okay, I'm not doing that. Get a call one Saturday, because we didn't go to this one event that we were supposed to go to. And they were like, hey, the Outlaws are up here looking for you. And I was like, for what? And they're like, they think you're starting a motorcycle club. And I was like, why would they think that? But they were upset. And then at like the next bike night, there's like 14 of them there. And then, I kind of just stay away. And then, the next bike night, there's, a lot of them there again. And I was like, I went over and bought them all shots and was like, I don't know what you guys have heard about me, but I'm not trying to start a motorcycle club on any level. I got
taco club. It's a taco club. We're making tacos.
I'm trying to give you guys tacos and you're upset with me. But yeah,
it's a street taco club. Yeah. What's the problem?
But yeah, no, after that, they ended up being really good guys. I would buy them drinks every time they come out. And then it started to dwindle over time. Like at first it was a bunch, then it was like 10, then it was like 8. And then there was like 4 guys that hung out all the time. And they're really good guys. But yeah.
I mean, even in law enforcement, that's what, I mean, I can speak for myself and I can speak for a lot of people I've worked with. If it's my area of responsibility and I'm the agent or I'm the sheriff or the deputy or the investigator, I probably got a contact. And I mean, look, if we're hearing something, I'm reaching out to the president of that chapter.
Yeah.
I'm not threatening them to arrest them. I'm like, hey, here's the deal. We don't want any innocent people hurt, blah, blah, blah. We know you're going to do this. We'd like to work together. That's the way I always did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And generally they're pretty good. I mean, in the book, I talk about the days when I bounced in South Carolina. South Carolina is a Hells Angels state.
Yeah.
And the Hells Angels helped me numerous times when I was working at the Gentlemen's Club, air quotes, Gentleman Club.
The shoe show.
Oh, yeah, I know, right? Yeah. No gentleman there, not even me. That's what I usually say. That's an oxymoron. Yeah, I mean, 2 bouncers, and sometimes the second bouncer was nowhere to be found, and you're in a fight with like, the next thing you know, you got 10, 15 people on top of you, and the Hells Angels are grabbing them off.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now looking back, once I got more worldly and more experienced in law enforcement, they were slinging dope out of there. They had an interest in that bar, and that's fine. I mean, I say it's fine. It's illegal, but look, they were doing their thing, and they helped me out. So I mean, trust me, when I was on the bottom of the pile getting hit by 10 people while I'm punching one person, I appreciated their help.
Yeah, strip clubs in South Carolina, by the way, are something special. Like there was one there was one in Columbia called Gentleman's Quarterly or something like that, and then it became something else like Platinum Plus.
Platinum Plus, yes, sir. They shut them down.
Like
they shut them down. There was a huge conspiracy. Yeah, there was a Platinum Plus in Greenville.
That allegedly.
They're undercover.
Wow.
Yeah, they got allegedly. I mean, I don't know. Might be news. You probably Google it, but they got shut down, and I think they busted them for like,
drug trafficking, a lot of stuff. Yeah,
selling boot,
illegal stuff,
all that good stuff. Yeah. But then I remember that one in Columbia mysteriously burned down. I don't know.
Well, there's that too. a little insurance. Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
I was smoking a cigarette. I put it out. I left, came back. whole daggum thing's burnt down. Where's my
Yeah.
insurance money?
Yeah.
You know, I'm
Who
not
knew?
gonna. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't get out
Go
of
ahead.
South Carolina. No, I didn't get out of South Carolina until I was in my mid 30s, and so the only club I'd ever been to was one of those. And
Yeah.
I'll just say, once you get to Atlanta, and you go, holy crap!
Yes, it is
That's
different. You are correct.
it is. It is a bit different.
So Scores, New York City. I remember I went there. It was a buddy of mine's bachelor party, and I'd always heard Howard Stern and all this stuff. I walked in there and I'm like, this is insane. I mean, the cover charge. I was like, for what?
Yeah.
And then you go in there, and I mean, like one beer was like, I don't know, even in the 99, 2000 era, it was like, I don't know, $20 for who knows, $8 to $20 for a beer.
Yeah.
And then you look over there, and this like mafia, it's Wall Street. It's the biggest money you can put in a club. I'm with you. I was a South Carolina guy, you know. You're like,
Yeah.
but there's a difference. There's a difference between the McAllen border on the rural road, not the main strip, but the rural road club versus South Carolina. Could be a high end club. You get to your Vegas and New York's and Atlanta's. It's different.
Yeah. It's that's Shelly. I know her.
Shelly, what are you doing on the stage?
Yeah.
5 years later, she's at Rush's working. So it's like,
Hey, but you know what? Myrtle Beach, like you got to look, and for the listeners that may not know, your dancers, if you're good, they'll go to like Bike Week and stuff. So you get these dancers coming in from all over the country to go to the Crazy Horse or whatever it is in Myrtle Beach for Bike Week to rake in some dough. You know,
Yeah, true.
The peak pony.
Different world. Yes, it's a different world, and I lived it. I was in it for a very long time. Not super proud of the things I did back then, but I will say that it helped me with my skill set and helped me later on in life. I mean, even if it's like, hey, you're undercover, you're going in, you know how the game works. There's been stories of undercovers that went into a club and they're getting dances because they're trying to build their backstopping or their story, and they fall in love, and then they tell that person, hey, I'm actually an FBI agent or whatever.
Oh no.
So that's not good.
Oh no. They went too deep. It
wasn't nothing to do with deep cover. It was a naive. Yeah.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
that's true.
She loves me. She doesn't dance like that for anybody else. Are you giving her money? Are you giving her money?
Yeah. I'm sure she does love you.
Yeah, it's love. It's love.
You got a future. I think you guys are going to get married. I did want to ask about that because once you kind of get past that life, when I was listening to the book, obviously you're very open and honest and vulnerable in it. And near the end, you talk a lot about what it felt like to be in those moments and befriend these folks. It's got to feel kind of good, even though what you did was honorable and awesome, but it's got to feel kind of good to not have to do that, to kind of set that down and move on to telling about it, I guess.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, I'm proud of what I did. I believe in it. It's a calling. I loved it. I loved all of it. But yeah, forming and building relationships with possible targets. I mean, there's plenty of undercovers that I've done that you go in and 4 months, 5 months in, they're like, hey, they're not doing anything on a federal level, or they're not doing anything illegal at all. It's all right. They're covered. So I'm out. But the art of the undercover, and again, it is a sophisticated investigative technique. I say again as if I told you. I apologize, but we consider that a sophisticated investigative technique. It's right up there with tapping somebody's phone. It's very intrusive. You can't just go into doing an undercover unless you can show that you've exhausted all your means at the normal level. That's the same thing for a wiretap because it's so intrusive. You can't be like, hey, I want to do a wiretap. Well, why? You have to show that, hey, we tried surveillance, we've tried developing sources, we're still getting reporting these things are happening that are nefarious, illegal, bad, violent, and then we're going to try to go in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there a specific level of criminal activity that provokes you to go undercover?
Not necessarily. It's a case by case basis.
Okay.
You could be, I mean, generally for us, it's going to be a federal crime, or otherwise we probably wouldn't be doing it. If it's
Got it.
just state level, we probably wouldn't buy into it.
Okay.
But a lot of times that's our task forces. That's how we work. I was state and local. I worked pretty much nothing but task forces my entire FBI career. So they will bring stuff from the state and local level and say, hey, we got a possible good case here. And then we do it as a task force. We do it and prosecute it federally because the federal system is way more consistent and than the state system.
Sure. That makes sense. Going from like being like kind of what Chuck asked earlier, is it like now that you're out of it, do you still have like that need to scratch that itch? Like is it something like when you go, like when people come back from being away in the military, like at war, right?
Mm-hmm.
I hear a lot of stories about how they just don't feel like they are complete without having that adrenaline rush, without having that excitement and kind of living on the edge. So is that the same the way you feel?
I will agree with a lot of that, and that's how your biker gang started, by the way. It was guys coming back from war,
Right?
Yeah.
and now all of a sudden they've seen all this mayhem and debauchery, and they've been killing people and drinking or whatever they're doing, and
Sure.
now they're back in the States, and it's like, okay, now you're a clean cut person again. No,
Right.
not necessarily. There was no decompression stuff. There was no counseling. There was no transition back into reintegrating yourself. None of that stuff. But for me, I've been able to fill that void in retirement because I still am an instructor with Alert. It's based out of Texas. It's the national standard for training law enforcement in active shooter response. So I still do that. So that allows me to go work with law enforcement, to put on training, to continue to learn from them and spread knowledge myself.
Yeah.
That does that. Coming out here with a book, meeting guys like you and talking. That's the thing. That's the void I needed to fill because.
Okay.
For me, the 28 years of law enforcement, I love connecting with people. I don't care whether it's as a case agent or undercover. It doesn't matter if you're smart, dumb, rich, poor, backwoods, highfalutin. I love it all.
Yeah.
I love all facets of humanity, if you want to call it that, human beings.
Sure.
But I'm getting to fill that void with this. But I will say that I thought I had a plan for retiring, and I thought I was doing pretty good. But about the 1.5 year mark, I remember just looking at that first 1.5 years of retirement and going, I got to change my mindset. I'm getting older.
Yeah.
I'm not on the front line as of right now, and I've got to change my mindset because I was having some outbursts here and there that were not normal. They were not normal for me, and when I did them, I was like, what was that? Where did that come from? And it's because I wasn't filling that void. So I had to start kind of either changing my mindset or doing things like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or Krav Maga and getting my butt kicked and sweat. Again, here's what I say. Driving to the gym, I'm all jacked up. I'm in hurry up mode, get out of my way. After a great workout, I'm super calm. I'm in the slow lane. I let everybody pass me. So that's what I try to do. Like if I go to a fight training of whatever discipline it is, and I might do well, but usually, I mean, it is a workout. You're getting your butt kicked right and left, and I'm so relaxed. Me personally, I'm so relaxed driving. I'm like I'm in the slow lane.
Yeah.
Bless their heart, let them pass. They're in a hurry.
Yeah.
They got somewhere to be.
Well, I mean, they could be. They might have to go to the bathroom real bad. We don't know their story.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
I'm not going to judge.
I was thinking about it earlier. I used to, when I was younger, say that, I think I'd be good at police work or undercover or something like that. And listening to it, I don't think I would. Like, I think that, I think I would be like, I think I'd get blown right away. Like as far as like my cover, it would just be gone right away because I would be sitting there and someone would go, you know what I want to do? I want to rob that dude. And they'd be like, I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think we should do that.
Yeah.
I think that right away I'd be like, I don't think we should. I think I don't think that's going to work out good for you. So probably don't do it. And then you're like, would I really want to
That's
go
not
rob
bad.
them? But I really do. I think I think I'd be there to like, oh, I'm gonna arrest this guy for doing something wrong one day. But I'm over here like, yeah, you shouldn't do it.
Talking
like,
him out of it.
I'm like trying to, yeah, it's not gonna work out good for
Hey,
you.
no, I've done that undercover. And if you know the Attorney General guidelines and the rules, you can't be involved in an act of violence unless it's self-defense. So now, does that mean that, again, case by case, as I said earlier, case by case basis, Lord forbid you're ever in a situation where you've got to make that split decision. I mean, in a millisecond, what are you going to do?
Right.
But that's the thing. It's not just cakes and pies. It's not, hey, I'm making friends and I'm spending money and we're having a good time. You are building a case and you are in a most likely whatever the situation is, I guarantee you there's a propensity for violence, whether it's a white collar banker deal or a pedophile or whatever. There's a propensity for violence, and we're trying to stay. I'll coin the term my buddy used, phenomenal undercover, but he said, "Look, it's not a game of checkers; it's a game of chess.
Yeah.
We're always trying to be 4 moves ahead, with a contingency in our head for anything that can be thrown at us, and how you're going to respond to it. And still, sometimes that's not enough."
Your story about with the outlaws or with the gang up in New York, when you
My buddies.
yes, but when you had to go into the basement, and that whole story like was so exciting and scary at the same time, and I just
You
can't
should have been
imagine.
there.
I know, right? But I wasn't. I felt like I was there.
I know
you were.
you got it right. That's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
I'm waiting
But-
for him to call me up and go, "Hey, why were you being such a smart aleck in the book?" But that's my
Right.
boy. I love him.
Yeah.
I love him. That's Tim. He was a case agent. He was also the guy that took me to New York to show me the way around.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, that was Tim who said,
I just
when I
can't
was hauling
imagine.
down here with the blue lights and sirens, I felt like I was in there with you. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah, you weren't.
You weren't.
I appreciate you, but trust me.
Yeah.
Appreciate the sentiment, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
As I
made
tell a lot
Go
of
ahead.
people, I say, hey, I would have rather heard that story about an undercover and say, man, that sucks, than to be standing there naked going, yeah, this sucks. This is not good.
that's just insane. And then for you not to hoping that your team was listening to you, knowing that, but thinking that they weren't because that you didn't get good reception in there.
Yeah.
What made you decide on the stories that you told in the book? Were these just like the most exciting stories that you had
They
throughout your
were.
career?
That's a good question. I've done clearly more things that are in the book, but I'm an instructor. I'm a speaker. I like to teach and I like to learn. And most of the things I put in there have some kind of learning. They have some kind of learning principle. Just like if you look at the Outlaws case, after a year and a half undercover, doing all kinds of illegal activity with them, we upped the ante to a drug deal, and they pulled me in a basement and stripped me at gunpoint. Well, fast forward, I don't know, maybe 3 years later, I'm full-time undercover in a case in rural Tennessee, and I find out that a target is really wanting to come test me because he doesn't know if I'm a snitch or a fed or I'm legit or not. So what did I do to him? The same thing that was done to me. As soon as he walked in my house, I said, hey, shut the door behind you. And I'm like, hey, I don't know you that well. Take all your damn clothes off. I want to make sure you're not wearing a wire. But I learned that from having it done to me. And so those cases, there's some that are shock and awe, and that's good for readers and people to bite onto. But yeah, I mean, most of them are my big cases. But the big thing is this: none of those cases are classified. We're not talking about any active undercover operations. We're not talking about any active undercovers. We're not talking about any active sources. And everything's been adjudicated. Everybody has pled guilty. So that's why it's easier to talk about those in the book. There are cases like the classified one I can't talk about. There was all kinds of stuff I did in the militia realm, like before January 6th and post January 6th. I didn't talk about in the book because I wasn't sure if it was still active or not.
Right.
and I wasn't going to do that. So
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Were you in Georgia during January 6th?
no, I was back in East Tennessee because we'd already taken down. Yeah, we'd already taken down the base case, and
Got
I
it.
was just back in Tennessee, just working. I might have been doing an undercover on something,
Yeah.
but as a case agent, I was just working domestic terrorism type stuff.
Okay.
So of course, when J6 happens, the whole office is like, we're doing a command post, we're doing this, we got to be sure and make whatever. We're going to do what we got to. We're going to do what the FBI did.
Yeah.
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 Now, I did read, I seem to recall in the book that you said that you were a psychology major, right?
Minor.
Minor.
2 more classes. I could have had a double major. 2 more classes. 6 hours. I was short.
Well, I do have a question because you've got a unique, obviously, worldview because of all the things that you've seen, and specifically the types of groups that you've been in. And I'm going to set this question up a little bit because I want you to understand where I'm coming from on it. But I grew up like where, Swansea, South Carolina, in a trailer, poor and violent, with 10 siblings. Not a single one is a full-blooded relative. So it's that kind of environment, right? And
I've been there.
yeah. So
I got you.
I knew you would understand what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
So I'm growing up in this house, and I knew from an early age that my family's great. I love them, but we're different. I was different than they were. Like my brothers and some of my would make decisions that I just could not understand. That the outcome of what they were doing was so obviously detrimental to them, but they just couldn't see it. And so you grow up in the same house with the same 2 parents, and yet you choose a path where you're going to go, try to earn a living, work hard, start a family, stay as far away from anything like drugs or criminality as you can. But then the ones right around you get involved in drugs and crime. And I'm curious because you've seen so many different sets of men and people that all fall into that life where they almost seem like they just can't help themselves, but fall into this type of mental way of thinking that this is their only option or this is the way they want to live. And I think there's a large group of them that are, I would say, probably just not very, smart. They're looking for a family. They're looking to belong. They're rejected by society. And so this group welcomes them and then they get kind of used by the group. But I'm curious as to if you've identified anything that you would say is systemic amongst the different types of people who felt they needed to go out and join these groups and do the things that they did.
Well, there's a lot of rabbit holes we could go down on that one.
Yes, sir.
That's a pretty broad. So I wrote a couple of notes because I think I have ADD. I think America has ADD.
We all do.
We got this smartphone. It's like I need something right now.
Yeah.
So to hit on several things on what you just asked and talked about, I totally believe in the product of your environment. I've seen it. I don't know the science behind it, but I know what I've seen. Some people I don't want to say you're set up for failure, but you're a product of your environment. Let's look at Michael Vick. He gets caught at a NFL level, still fighting dogs, and it's atrocious to so many people. But I've been in there. I've been around it. He grew up around it. Nobody ever stopped him. He's just doing what he grew up doing. It's not. I'm not even saying it was on the outside looking in. It's evil, but when you're living it, and that's all you know, is it evil? So there's that being a product of your environment. There's also addiction. If you're an addict, man, you're going to keep going. And I'm not I don't buy personally into a lot of like weed is a gateway drug. If you do weed, it'll lead to this, it'll lead to this. I personally, in my experience, I believe that if you were trying to get away from reality and you're doing anything you can to numb yourself from that reality, then maybe you're looking for the next high. But if you're a true weed person, I don't know if that leads to cocaine. I will give you this though. It's very rare in my experience during all the days that I was working it that you could go to a place that just sold weed. If you you got your stores, but I'm saying if you went to a drug house, there's going to be heroin, cocaine, there's going to be meth, there's going to be pills, whatever. So I'll give you that, but addiction is huge. And then the other thing is that I can think of is quick money. You got people and they get that bike, and they get fast money, and maybe they didn't have to work that hard for it, but it's just like gambling. When you win your first time,
Yeah.
and then you hear somebody that goes, man, I just won 15 grand. My question always is, well, how much money did you have to spend before you won that 15 grand? That's how they get you, and it hooks you. And I try not to dehumanize people. I told you, I know exactly what you're talking about. I've lived in trailers. I've got family members that made poor choices as well. I'm the only child, but I had not half, but step brothers and step sisters. So if you, a lot of times in the criminal world, it's all about greed. And when you get that money, like I arrested a guy, but my team, the team I was on, I was a part of the team. We worked a case and we take down a guy who's actually a very good businessman as a drug dealer. He always had enough money set aside in a storage unit to buy at least 10 kilos of cocaine. He always had over $100,000 easy. We bust him. He gets 10 years because he does a plea deal. He gets 10 years and he says, man, I'm done with this when I get out in 10 years. I've heard this so many times in my career. And I go, well, I hope so, but I want you to think about how you feel right now when you get out. But what do you plan on doing? Well, I'm going to start cutting hair. That's great. But I just want you to understand something. You're not going to be able to walk into the Dodge dealership, pay cash for a brand new Dodge Challenger with custom made rims with your initials on them, being a barber.
Right.
I said, so I'm just trying to set you up for reality.
Right.
So you know that. And sadly, in 28 plus years of law enforcement or being in and around it, there's not a lot of success stories that I've personally experienced, but the ones that happen, man, it makes me very happy, and I will help them. And like you talk about the outlaws, I'm friends with a lot of those people, even though I've arrested them. Like the rural thing in Tennessee. I mean, that guy would call me and say, hey man, I know I love you. I know you're just doing your job. And I'm like, I love you too. Nothing personal. I spent a year and a half with you. That part was kind of real. I mean, I'm bonding with you.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I got a question for you because I was listening to the book, and obviously we know what red pill, blue pill is. We hear that all the time. And but I was curious. I heard a code name that somebody used, and I was wondering if you knew what it meant. But one of them used a code name Thomas Anderson.
Okay, no, I don't know what it means. It was spelt was it 2 R's? I even Googled it, trying to figure out what it was. But school me if you know.
I'm about to tell you. So Thomas Anderson was actually Neo's name before he became Neo. So whenever you meet,
damn,
right. Yeah. And what was interesting to me was this group was a group that was they were Satanist, right?
Well, they claim paganism.
Paganism.
And again, I've got friends. Actually, they said you could be either. You could be a Christian or a pagan. But what we found out, or what I found out when I got in the group, is if you were a Christian, there was one dude that showed up to that hate camp who said he was a Christian, which would be a Christian identity. It wouldn't be a true Christ follower. They take the Bible, they twist it to their ideology, much like the guys we're talking about took paganism and they twisted the crap out of it to fit their ideology.
Yeah,
it's not a true pagan. But yeah, I did not know. So so the guy that was Thomas Anderson was, I think he was a legit priest. He led the first blot I ever attended. And he was a Satru, and I don't think he was a bad guy. I mean, we didn't arrest him. He left the group or whatever, but he led a good blot.
Well, what's crazy is I was suspicious of him right away. Like when I heard the name Thomas Anderson, it popped out to me because everything in the Matrix is a Christ allegory. So you were specifically talking about people who didn't believe in that, and then one of them used the Christ figure in that movie as his code name. And it's got a couple of meanings to it. So Thomas is actually a reference to doubting Thomas in the Bible.
Yep. Okay.
Right? And Anderson translated is son of man. So the name actually refers to doubting son of man. And whenever when Neo becomes, whenever Thomas Anderson becomes Neo, his name is Neo Anderson, new son of man. And so it was fascinating to me that he was actually referring to himself as Christ and also leading a blot.
Is that so? That is all Matrix based?
Yeah, that's all Matrix based.
Oh my gosh. No
Yeah.
wonder I couldn't find it. I Googled it. I didn't put Matrix together, but yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So that just goes to show you that dude put a lot of thought into that
Yes,
moniker.
he did. Yes, he did.
Because I came in as White Warrior 88, an old
Knock
white
some
guy.
cows.
Yeah, I'm an old white guy I'm neo-Nazi 1.0. They're 2.0, right?
Oh, sorry, man.
What was 88? Your date of birth, supposedly?
No. It's well,
okay.
you, from the biker world, you should have. What's 81?
Come on, Z. 88?
Oh,
What's 81?
I don't know.
HA. It's the count the letters in the alphabet. H is the 8th letter.
Yeah.
1 is A. That's Hell's Angels. Support your local 81,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So if you say support your 15, that's the Outlaws. So 88 in the white supremacy culture is HH, Heil Hitler.
Yeah.
I don't expect you to know that.
No, I don't.
She
I'm
started
glad
riding,
you don't know it, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, she started riding in 2016, and within a year, she was like leading a motorcycle collective. So she got kind of indoctrinated pretty quick.
Yeah.
But
My daughter could be following one of my daughters could be following in your footsteps.
Oh, wow. That'd be cool.
well,
Wouldn't it?
it's the fastest rising demographic in motorcycles is female riders.
Like, I'm not going to lie to you. When I was in Myrtle Beach Bike Week and I'm still learning the 84 lowrider that I'm on, that Redneck Engineering stretched and raked and lowered,
Yeah.
a girl, an attractive woman passed me. Like, she was like, wow, just blew me off the road. Had overalls on, blonde hair blowing on the motorcycle. And I was like, respect.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. And I'm like, okay. I'm not hating. I'm like, that's pretty awesome, you know?
That's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Z rides a Road Glide. It's got a 131 with a 550 cam. It's a badass
What?
bike.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
souped up.
damn it. That's it. I'm going to upgrade.
You need to. I was thinking like that new Road Glide would look great on you.
Yeah, it is.
But how tall are you? You said you were short.
I'm 5'2".
And you're on a road glide?
Yes, sir.
All right, I gotta
Carbon
suck it
fiber wheels, carbon fiber
Man,
fenders.
I gotta suck it up.
Yeah.
You.
I'll send you. I'll shoot you a picture of it on Instagram.
I'm about to ready to hop on a Sportster. That's what I'm about to do.
That's what I started out on. And, when you first start riding, you don't know what you want. You don't know what's going to feel comfortable. And like you said, you customized your bike to fit like your riding style and how tall you are and all of that. I just got the stock bike, and eventually you learn that you're like, I'm going to do this hobby, and you don't realize how expensive this new hobby is.
Oh, yeah. I try to
Right.
explain that to my family. They're like, it's like buying a home and putting a pool in. Then they go, well, that pool was $70,000, so that makes our property. No, it doesn't. That just means if somebody wants a pool, they'll get it. I'm like, somebody takes a 2005 Harley, they put 40 grand in it.
Yeah.
They're not getting the 40 grand extra. It's just
Nope.
if that's
Trust
what
me.
you want, kind of thing.
I know.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I lost my 84 lowrider because I blew the engine at Bike Week.
Wow.
The top end was going bad. I got pissed off. I was drinking. I was immature, and I did a burnout and finished that baby off. I'm like, you want to blow smoke? Blow this. And I was like, wow.
Well,
And,
I thought
I tried to put a new engine in, and it never worked. So
when she started riding, I was like, yeah, this is a cheat code, right? Because it's like I'm gonna get to ride all the time because she's gonna want to ride. And then I realized because I like to customize bikes, so there's not a bike that I haven't done a ton of shit to.
yeah.
But I realized I just picked up double the cost because every time I did something to my bike, we had to do it to her bike as well. So when I started pricing out, all right, we're gonna do these big performance bagger builds, I just put down 2 of everything, and boy.
Yeah.
It'll get you.
It did get me.
Yeah.
The HD used to stand for $100, but I think it's a heck of a lot more now.
It's a lot more. It's the Harley tax. Yeah.
And the thing is if we're talking riding, I let that chopper bug bite me, and I was doing all kinds of stuff, and I never rode because my bike was always in the shop.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, again, the FBI, the undercovers, the 96 Fat Boy, we had some issues with it. But the 2000 Road King that I had for a case, I put ape hangers on it. I took the floorboards off, put forward controls on it, stretched it, all this stuff, blacked it out. And it was the newer, I mean, you had a rubber mounted engine and a trickle charger. And I'd walk out there and flip it with the fuel injection. You walk out there and you hit it, it goes zip, pop, cranks right up. And I'm like, well, that's way better than the 84 I had.
Right.
You know, I'm like, oh, this is nice, you know.
Yeah,
So I'm with you.
Yeah, no, we love to ride, man, and we've had the wonderful opportunity to ride all over the place, but I just got to say where we're from, it's the best riding in the country. You mentioned the Dragon earlier. We've been up to the Dragon so many times. It's one of my favorite roads. In North Georgia, there's one called Wolf Pen Gap, which I actually think is just as fun. It's like the Dragon, but in 15 minutes. So it's
okay. Yeah, the Dragon. You're on the Dragon. I remember when we were up there filming for that Red Bull thing. I hadn't really been on it that much. And I just remember, man, how all you hear all day is racing, whether it's cars or motorcycles. And I'm thinking, how are more critters? I mean, you're in the mountains, you're in the woods. And I'm like, you're in the national forest. So I'm like, how are more critters not hurting? And the more time I spend out there, and I go, it's because they all hear the cars coming. I mean, everybody's like, whack, 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 wrecking. Yep. My buddy Killboy, he's got the shop at the top of the Tell the Dragon. So Killboy, I mean, if you go into his shop, he has photographers all up and down the Tell of the Dragon. Yeah. And you'll see frame by frame, like guy on his Harley coming into the curve. How's it going? Waving, going down, crash, motorcycle off the road. And you're just like, man.
Yeah, some of that photography.
Not good.
Yeah, some of those pictures that they take, it's like, whoa, that's going to hurt.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. Let that ego get you. You're like, hey, check it out. I'm awesome.
The ones that are always like the ones I cringe the most at is when you'll see somebody on like a Grandpa Glide, like one of the old school baggers, just big as hell, chromed out as hell, bright blue or some color like that. And he's got Bertha on the back of it. And he stood up on the peg and Bertha spilled out on the highway and he's trying to still hold on to the bike. I've seen like 2 or 3 of those and I'm just always like, Bertha, damn.
You know, like, man, like mine's been lowered. I didn't lower it. I wouldn't lower it. I'm 6'4", you know, but it's been lowered. So I just got a new kickstand because it hit me. I'm like, if I threw my kickstand up, I can't lean the bike down. Like I can only turn the handlebars one way. If I turn it the other way, it'll fall. You touch it with your pinky, it'll fall over. Oh, and then I was on the website one day and I kept seeing 2 different lengths of kickstands. And I'm like, why would you have 2? And I went, oh, I'm an idiot. They lowered the bike. I need a shorter kickstand. Mm-hmm. So I had Harley put one on when I was getting some work done to it. Well, I get home, my house is on a hill, on a steep driveway. I get to the top of the hill, I go to kick you can't find it. It's under the Arlen Ness floor. And I'm like, this guy knew I couldn't reach this down. I'm reaching under with my hand. So anyway, I bought an extension. I hadn't put it on yet. We'll see if it works. But
yeah, I have an extension on mine.
I wouldn't lower it. Yeah, well, so back to
I can't
the lowering
reach.
thing. Well, right. But the lowering thing, you're on the Tail of the Dragon. That's not.
No.
That's more crotch rocket, Porsche, or Corvette, whatever. That's not.
I'll challenge you a little bit on that because I built my bike with 8.5 inches of clearance and carbon fiber wheels on the front and back as well, and I can lean the full out of that thing up there. Really? My whole goal when I built that bike was I want them to be stunned they can't leave this Harley. Like whenever, and I've got a few videos of crotch rockets just looking back at me and I'm not trying to be whatever, but it wasn't because I did anything special. I just made the bike to where I could ride it like that up there in the mountains. And
here's what I know. I do not have anywhere near 8.5 inches of clearance. So maybe I need to go back in there, get some new shocks and pump my bike back up. Cause I'm with you. It's fun, but like if you look, we talk about 3-wheelers. My first motorcycle, that 84 lowrider, it was stretched 2 degrees. They put 3-degree triple trees on it, lowered it, and all it had was a headlight and a tail light. Long, low, and loud. That was Redneck Engineering's back in the chopper days. That was their MO. Long, low, and loud. It drove like a 3-wheeler. bro, I would go straight, wah, turn the because if I leaned, it one little bump in the intersection, there goes my forward controls.
Yeah, dog.
$1,000. I just
Yeah.
ate the crap out of them.
Only 90-degree angles, like you're
Yeah.
you're in
Yeah.
Tron. Just
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
And you said three-wheelers are dangerous, but here's the thing. When I tell people I know how to drive a three-wheeler and I was really good at it, that doesn't mean I know how to take a 90-degree turn at 60 miles an hour. It means I know how to slow down, turn the handlebars, and then take back off, because you can't do it.
Yeah, that's where everybody messed up. Every time, what he's talking about, if you've never been on a three-wheeler, is that whenever you turn those things, it's got two wheels in the back and one on the front, so it's going to push it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just keeps going, it keeps jumping. You
That's
can
where
hang your
everybody-
butt cheek off one side. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's good. But
Yeah, you're just putting cushion closer to the ground. You're not really doing anything.
it's still fun.
Funny.
Well, brother, man, I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I really appreciate you coming on the show. Again, as I said earlier, the book is phenomenal. Tell everybody about where they can find it and where they can follow you on social media and all that.
Sure. Codename Pale Horse. And then I got to read I didn't necessarily agree with the subtitle, but the big wigs at Simon & Schuster said, this is the one that sells. I'm like, whatever. It's Codename Pale Horse, How I Went Undercover to Expose America's Nazis. But it's not just about white supremacy. I did 2 years in the Outlaws. There's murder for hire cases. There's public corruption cases. I'm transparent all the way throughout it, as you guys have mentioned. I talk about my faith. I talk about when things went bad. I talk about when my family almost imploded. But you can get it anywhere. Amazon, anywhere you want. And as we've already said, the audiobook is in my voice. And we're doing really good. I mean, like you saw, I'm blessed to be on this show, many shows, did Rogan, and things are going good. So
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we've been listening to Rogan since he was on the couch. So it was, as soon as I saw you on there and you just talking about motorcycles, I was like, he's a Harley guy. I got to reach out.
Yeah, it was good. And then my Instagram is pretty much it's Scott Payne Big Country, because that was my nickname, and Pale Horse was already taken, and I'm creating these accounts, but it's Scott Payne at Scott Payne Big Country, and that's pretty much everything. The X account, the Instagram account, LinkedIn, that's all the same.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. And I see that Gamecock right there. My good friends would be very happy. My dad would be happy. Most of my family, I don't care. Most of my family was Clemson Tigers. Matter of fact, they only bought me Clemson stuff because they assumed I was Clemson. But this will give you an idea. I think I've always been a rebel, because even as a kid, I'm like, why do you all buy me Clemson Tigers? How do you know I like Clemson Tigers? This is like me at 7.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I come in cheering for the Gamecocks.
Yeah.
Hey, go Cox.
Well, good. Go Cox. Like, it's funny. I was going to stay away from the South Carolina Clemson. I thought that might be a little too esoteric for the show. Right. But yeah, no, it's go Cox. Thank you, man. That was great.
Hey, by the way, one of my all-time favorite football movies ever, The Program, filmed at William Bryce Stadium.
Yes, sir. It sure did. That movie got in trouble. Remember, they laid down in the middle of the road and
they stuck it out.
Yeah, and then people started doing
the original version. Yeah, I know, right? I know. Like Disney's like, well, people are laying in the road and they're getting run over by cars, and you're like, you think?
Yeah,
it's a highway.
That sounded like the dumbest thing I'd ever heard until the Tide Pod thing hit, and I was like, what? What?
Hey, I'm sure it's a rush. I don't know if I'm going to die or not. I'm just saying.
It can't be that much of a rush.
You're setting yourself up for failure, bro.
I think some people like associate feeling sick with being high. It's like I don't get it.
Yeah, it's that fear of dying. That's that fear of dying.
I'm about to die.
Right up until the point to when you die.
Right.
That's what's funny about the video games and stuff now. I go, a lot of these kids are being radicalized online. The base, that kid that led our firearms training, 19 damn years old, and he was good and fast, and Adderall had a little bit to do with it. But I'm just saying, it's like, but in the game world, you can respawn. You can say, oh, I just died. I'm going to respawn. And that doesn't work out so good here.
Not in real life.
No, not in real life.
No.
Yeah.
That's crazy that he was able to get like the experience to use actual weapons through a game.
Yeah, they're so realistic. They're doing the clearing techniques. You hop on, if you talk on your headset, you might be on with an 11-year-old kid who's telling you to clear the hard corner, slice the pie. Yeah, I'm number one. I'm going left. It's It's
Wow.
it's a little scary.
Is it scary? I was gonna say, like, being in that environment, like as your profession, is that scary to listen to an 11-year-old talk like that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Have that information.
especially when they just handed my ass to me, and I'm like, hey, why are you not in school? I'm at home sick. They're like, I'm at home. Do your parents know you're over here kicking my ass right now on Call of Duty?
That's so
And
funny.
then I turn into Thor. I'm like, I'm the god of thunder. I will come to your house and smack you down, you know?
That's him. When he plays, he talks a lot of crap to the kids, and I'm like, that's a 7-year-old. What are you
Well,
doing?
I don't know that.
I don't talk to them. I try not to talk anymore, but there were some
Yeah.
more brash. I used to be way more brash. And
I used to.
yeah, I've
I don't-
said some things.
I used to get online and play all the time, but then, as life got busy, I just didn't have the time to play anymore. But it was okay because near the end, man, those 11-year-olds would hurt my feelings. Like I'd be on there and they would say some shit about me that was just horrific. And
Like the Xbox 360, that was when I was on the headset. That was when I
yeah.
was like, and you hook up with somebody from the UK, and then every night y'all get on at the same time.
Yep.
You go
I still got
butt
friends. I think I got
Yeah.
online friends from the days when I used to game. But yeah.
Yeah.
By
I
the
still
way,
get-
last movie reference that I didn't use during the podcast that I'll give you.
Hit me.
When you said White Warrior, dude, all I could hear was the movie Kickboxer. Because in that movie they call him Noxukao, the White Warrior.
Dude, I can't. I got to go back and watch it now.
Yeah,
I mean, you were talking the original. We're not talking like Kickboxer 6.
no.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. The original Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Jean-Claude, yeah.
I was out at 2. I was out at Kickboxer 2.
Yeah,
Like they're like
I was out.
Kickboxer 2, and they put Van Damme on the cover, and they like shot him like in the first 30 seconds of it, and I was like, and then I got to watch this stranger. The rest of the movie, I was like, I'm
He's a
done.
pretty good bad guy though in Kickboxer though, man. They're
Tong Po.
dipping his wraps in glass and shit. I'm like, that's pretty cool, man, with that long ponytail.
I know.
And
You
then
remember-
you got Jean Claude working the wood.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you remember whenever when they made fun of it in Hot Shots and they like put their hands down and it came up with sprinkles and gummy bears?
Yeah. So when I was laid up, when I almost died, I was laid up and I was watching. I really believe it was because of where I was at mentally and physically and being on intravenous antibiotics every day.
Mm-hmm.
I was just down, and I watched like the Kurt Angle documentary, and it was just so dark. I got so damn depressed. I'm like,
Damn.
I gotta find something funny to watch. And I hit Hot Shots, and I go, holy shit, I haven't seen this forever. And I watched that one in Hot Shots Part 2. Dude, I forgot how good they were.
They're good, right?
They are good.
Like he doesn't know where the hell he's at. He's doing the handkerchief between his ears. He walks out the plane. There's no steps there. He falls flat on his face, and I go, holy shit, this dude is. I'm like,
God.
this is like prophetic.
I need to
This is
watch
like
that
way
again.
ahead of his time. You got to.
I lost the lower half of my intestines in the Guadalcanal.
That's hilarious. I bet it's.
Yeah.
I bet
And
it.
he takes on not
Saddam.
Bin Laden, Saddam.
Saddam
Yeah, he takes
as
on
Darth
Saddam,
Vader.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Now I gotta go watch it. Now
I
gotta go
know.
watch it, man.
Yeah,
I know.
those movies are great.
Hot
brother-
Shots Part 2.
Well, listen.
I will tell you this. Just real quick, I did that biker case 2005 to 2008. That wasn't, I was right about halfway in my career, and I'm reading books of like Under and Alone and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, and not ego, but I'm thinking, I've already done one of these cases and I'm in the middle of my career. I'm going to have like so many more under my belt. I was thinking biker clubs.
Yeah.
They never come to fruition. I started them. We start, something bad happens, this, that, and the other. But towards the end, I so wanted to do one more undercover because I promised I was going to roll up on a Vespa. I was going to have a little ching, me at 6'4", 2, whatever. And I just wanted to roll up and go. I wanted to be total Dumb and Dumber, man. I wanted to pull up and go, ching, 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 ching. You know, I wanted to just do circles.
Oh my
That'd have
God.
been
This little
awesome.
baby gets 50 miles to the gallon.
Yeah, I know, right?
I can get 50 miles to the gallon on this
Yeah, I
hog.
know, man.
On this hog. He
He
calls it
called
a
it a
hog.
hog. I traded the truck straight up for this.
I know. Just when I think you couldn't do anything more stupid, you go and do something like this and totally redeem yourself.
Well, listen, man, I'm gonna let you get back to your family, but I really enjoyed meeting you and talking to you. Hope
keep
you're not
in
a stranger.
touch. And good
No.
luck.
Anytime you guys want me back, whatever, man, talk to me. And if I get out the Dallas area, which I'm sure I will, I'll
Yeah.
hit you guys up.
Yeah,
Let's go
please.
ride.
Let's do it, man.
Let's do
And
it.
congratulations on the success with the book, man.
Yeah.
It's
Thank
really
you.
good and well deserved.